That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan and Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan and Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
Welcome to Worse Than You with Mo Fry-Pasek. I'm Mo, and every week I'm asking today's most captivating artists how they got their acts together. This show is not about their best or most famous work. It's about the work that means the most to them, their creative process, and why they make their art. This week's guest is an LA-based comedian, actor, TV writer, podcast host, and pop culture critic. You know her from the podcast TV I Say with Ashley Ray, her popular Substack Deep Trouble, and her debut comedy album Ice Cream Money. Please welcome to the pod. We already said the name, but you're gonna be surprised. Ashley Ray. Ready, set, show.
Hi.
Oh my God, can I tell you?
Yes.
My favorite part is that somehow we have it set up where I say ready, set, show after people's names, and it has become an insane thing. Where it's like, it feels like I'm doming everyone, where I'm like, don't respond to your name.
Yeah,
and let's
I was
begin.
like, that was the one thing.
And my favorite is I didn't so much tell you about like people's tension beforehand. I'm kind of wondering if that affected it, because when I tell people about the tension, that's when it absolutely happens and they feel like they betrayed themselves.
Yeah, I was like, get ready for it, ready, set. And then I immediately was like, my name. Yes. Hi.
I love it. It's like the big dumb animal body where I'm like, yeah, I hear my name. I go,
Oh, yeah. I feel like that's also all comedians. You're so used to being backstage, talking to your friends, waiting to hear your name so you can run to stage.
Run.
So many times
Yes.
I've like gone and then I'm like, oh, they're just saying who's coming up. Okay, gotcha. Never mind.
Oh, so many. And then my name's Mo, which sounds like no, which sounds like everything. So if someone screams like no, I'm like, what? Just run to the stage. Did you watch the Traitors, the UK episodes?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. One of my favorite is day one. Linda, this woman, is chosen as a traitor, and Claudia, the host, was like, traitors, and she turns her head. And one of the guys
good.
like, it's so good. I don't know how she got out of that.
Yeah. I like, that's the kind of thing in the American one where they would immediately be like, you guys, they lifted their head up and everyone would be like, I don't know, but I guess that's all we have to go on.
Oh yeah. And they would have got her out. Whereas like Linda, this like 70-year-old former like rock star nurse, was like, oh, I listen when people call anyone's name.
Yeah.
Oh, Ashley, welcome to the pod. How are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. So we talk process. We talk, somehow I always manage to get the meaning of a traitor's back to your own creative process. Don't worry. But
it's very closely aligned with Traitors.
I love that. It is an art. So we start usually, though, with a project that you are, proud of, or feels like it's really a bit of you, and we can discuss your process through that. And I would love to start with your album, Ice Cream Money, if you want to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's my debut album. It's the first real, hour plus of comedy that I've put out in my career. It was sort of the, just final note of the first 8 years of my comedy career. I started stand-up in Chicago and worked all of this material for years on the road at different festivals. And finally, I was like, okay, do I want to do a YouTube special? Do I want to do an album? How do I want to have this live in the world? And I always just loved comedy albums. That was, to me, the most impressive thing, when someone could just make me laugh with a track.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to my favorite comedians, via album. So I wanted to do that and just really kind of cement my beginnings in stand-up that way.
Wait, who are your favorite comedians?
Oh, I'm Maria Bamford, number one. She
so special.
Shaped, yeah, like she's just amazing. I like the first time I saw her, I was just like, oh, you can be this way and be funny.
Yes.
Mitch Hedberg was a big one. Like when I was in 6th grade, we had a talent show, and I would go on stage and do a Mitch Hedberg impression and just do his jokes and like dress like him.
Heaven to think of a 6th grader getting up being I used to do drugs, I still do, but I used to also.
Yeah. People just thought it was so funny, and like there would always be people who were like, "Did you write those jokes?" And I would just be like, yeah, I'm like very, very creative.
Oh, that's so. Well, you know what? You have to learn, the mastery. You were like under his tutelage in many ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my sister, one of my favorite things, she would like, was it his frog bit about a frog coming near you, like versus a bear?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what is that bit?
It was like, I would never be scared of Smacky the frog versus Smokey the bear with like fire safety or something. And I remember it's like a long bit. And you know how you could put quotes in your like MySpace sort of profile?
Oh, absolutely.
My sister had copy and pasted the entire transcript of the bit to be her. It's like, to me, it's like he has so many one-liners. You could have just used that, but she loved the long ass Smokey the Bear frog.
That's amazing. Like he had so many just incredible quotes. I definitely think my MySpace was probably like 60% Mitch Hedberg. Maria Bamford was in there. I really loved Greg Giraldo. He was another one I really got into, which it's crazy because now his son does comedy, and I was just in New York with some friends. We went to an open mic and they were like, oh, up next, Greg Giraldo. And we were like, oh, how unfortunate to have that name, man. If you were going to do stand up, you got to change your name.
My God.
And then I was like, I mean, unless you're like his kid or something. And then immediately we Google and we're like, oh, that is his kid. That is his child, who is apparently now old enough to do stand up.
That's so bizarre. That makes me like, I'm kind of like, are you allowed here? You know what I mean? Like,
right? I'm like, how can you be in a bar? Like, how were you old enough for this? You have to be like 5 years old.
Well, it's so funny. I'm like, what did that remind me of? It reminded me of literally a tweet of yours I just read that you'd posted where it's like, I think it's awesome that if you were a pop star in the early 2000s and had a sister, she could try too or something.
Yeah. I think
like, give it a go, Ashley Simpson. Give it a go, Solange.
I think we need to bring that back. Like, just give it a shot.
It reminds me of that though, where it's like, my dad did this, all right, legacy, and it's like, it is a specific art. Like it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same translation of skills, but okay, sure. And not even like a Nepo conversation, just like pure like is that possible? Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you're sort of honoring the things that you listen to.
Yeah, like I just loved stand-up albums, so it felt cool to work on one. I worked on it with Blonde Medicine, which was really cool. They were really like, where do you want to record it? What is best for you? And I started a lot of my early career in New York and Chicago, so I knew I wanted to record in one of them. And then I love Union Hall in New York, and that was where I was like, yeah, I should do this.
That beautiful, weird little space.
It's just so perfect for comedy. Like, you get a sold out show down there, and it's just the weirdest, fun, cool little room.
It has this low ceiling for listeners. It's and it's like, it's a long room, but you can get maybe like 80 there if you're packing in right. Like, I think it sells like 50.
Yeah, if you really pack out the standing room in the back, I think you can get up to like 90.
Yeah, you can really, and like with a low ceiling, with everybody in this space, it's one of the best feelings because it's like the laugh is so immediately resonant, like against your body. It's crazy.
It's also just the hottest room because if you sell it out, it's just so much heat. So it's no
ventilation. Yeah,
no ventilation. It has the tiniest, barely a green room. It's just like a sectioned off area with just a curtain that's like, this is where you stand before the show,
and you have to walk through everyone to get there. So they're like, hi, and then it's like don't look behind
and
you.
You're just like, yeah, don't look at me, and then like after the show, you're just like hiding behind a curtain, being like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for people to leave.
Literally, yeah. They know you're back there behind a tiny little curtain.
Yeah,
like
a
no!
tiny curtain. They can see you. And you're just like, yeah, just, give me a sec. Hey.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, wait. So I have so many questions for you that I want to get into, and I get sidetracked with people who I can gab with. But my thing is, I am so intrigued because you have also a history of television and media criticism. And when it comes to stand up and blending those identities, I'm excited to hear, because there's so often that conversation between like critics and can you do it and what are you thinking, and it's like, it seems like, I'm wondering if that's been a conscious effort of yours to explore or prove, or like how that works for you.
Yeah, I think that's really been maybe the central point of like these early stages of my career. In college, I knew that I wanted to be a creative. I did creative writing. I wrote like a web series in college and did a lot of just like short film stuff. But, I, like everyone else who graduated when I did, I struggled to like get jobs in entertainment or TV writing, and just started to get into advertising because it paid well, copywriting, it was a day job. And through that, I made a lot of connections in media, and I would write about pop culture online. And eventually I got a job at The Onion, which also owned the AV Club. And some people were like, hey, you write this really great stuff online about pop culture. Would you ever want to write for us? And I was like, whoa, I never thought about that. It had never occurred to me to be any sort of like culture critic or writer. And I did my first piece on Beyonce's Lemonade, and just really loved it. I always read sites like that. Like I loved the AV Club. I read TV reviews. I did study like the history of television and did my thesis on that in college.
You did?
Yeah. It was the history of Black television. And like I wrote about like from the golden age of Black TV in the 70s to this like resurgence in the 90s. And I did apply for a job at the AV Club, like graduating, and I just submitted my entire thesis with my resume. Which is an insane thing to do. I was literally just like,
my kind of person.
There you go, 30 pages.
Why would I synthesize this? I did the work. Yeah.
I did the work. And I will say one of their writers, like a few months later, published a thing that was like very eerily similar. And it was like about like Sanford and Son and Black television. And I was like, clearly I inspired someone over there. So, okay. But, they eventually like working this other way, they were like, yeah, come do some stuff for us. And at that point I had already started performing and was kind of just doing both, but really mostly taking writing and criticism seriously because it paid and stand-up doesn't. But I would like get off work, I'd go to open mics all night, and then I'd get home. And at that point I was reviewing like Insecure and Blackish. I would watch TV all night, stay up until 2 a.m. writing recaps, and then like go to sleep, go to work, and do it all again. And, I was doing both for a long time really well. And I think because I was in Chicago, which is this just really kind of beautiful place to be a creative, like no one really cares what you do there.
Well, it's very collaborative there too. Like people are very supportive.
Because like, you don't have the pressure. It doesn't feel competitive. It's not like, oh no, this person is going to be at this show or this person has this. None of that matters because there really isn't like industry. So you just end up working with people you really like. And I think coming up there and I wrote for the Chicago Reader, a local paper, and I would review shows. People in the cities didn't really care, I think. And then when I moved to LA and kind of became more known as a comedian, suddenly it really mattered what I thought and what I said and what you say about, your coworkers. Even to me, it was like insane to consider myself someone who like mostly did open mics and festivals on the same level as like a Gerard Carmichael. But in 2019, he put out like a set of documentaries. And the AV Club was like, do you want to review these? You're a stand-up comic. This is him stepping outside of comedy to do documentary. Like, I think we think it'd be interesting for you to look at this. And I was like, I usually said no to reviewing stand-up because I was like, I don't want to piss people off. But I was like, this is a documentary. It's different. Yeah, I'll do it. And it wasn't, imagine a comedian making a documentary, like it just wasn't incredibly well done. Like it just was a little it was a little meandering. It was a little like oh, you didn't tell us.
I felt it was slightly indulgent in that sort of post like Aziz era of like Master of None.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And just very like you think it's just interesting for the sake of it being interesting. And it's like, yeah, we get it. You have cousins. You didn't even tell us their names or like, okay. But anyway, I wrote a review and I gave it. I gave it like a C, I think. And like the editor made the headline really inflammatory. It was like Gerard Carmichael doesn't care about Black women or something. And
ooh, you're in it. You're in it now.
Yeah. And I was just like, whatever, who like cares about my stupid review? Nobody's going to care about this. And he went on The Breakfast Club like 2 weeks later and he was like, there is one person in this world I hate. Her name is Ashley Ray Harris. She writes for the AV Club. She's a stand-up comedian.
It's also not an incredible look to say like the one person I hate is a Black woman, but is
a Black woman, like, right? Maybe I was a little right.
If you're refuting it, like not ideal.
Yeah. So maybe
just optics-wise, yeah.
Yeah, optics-wise, like how does that really look? I thought like, okay. And he like was just like, he said it wasn't fair that I did it because I'm also a comedian. And he was like, it's like if Nicki Minaj wrote a review of a Cardi B album. So then I was like, first of all, you're saying I'm the Nicki Minaj of comedy to your Cardi
Bless
B,
you.
which
thank you.
Thank you, I guess. And also I was like, I would absolutely read a Nicki Minaj review of a Cardi B album. I would
wish.
100%.
Who's giving her that job? I need to review everything. Pigeons like
as
pigeons
someone
and airplanes.
do that, and I would absolutely read it. But that was the first time I was like, oh, I see. People very much care about my opinion and, where you kind of stand on that side of the industry. And I also reviewed another special that was like really some TikToker who got like a Netflix thing. And it was like a lot of sketches. Sarah Cooper, the person who did the like lip syncing to Trump.
Yes. Yeah. And
I reviewed that. And, I mostly felt like it was funny, but she got sort of overshadowed by other people in it. Like, you're this person who's mostly done TikTok and you're going up against Maya Rudolph.
You're just green. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah.
That's all it was. And, but her, I guess like someone that was involved with it reached out to my manager and agent and they were like, so your client didn't like our special. Like, oh, we were so excited to read her pilot, but not anymore. And I was just like, oh, this is really how this industry works. Like,
direct effects on your like lucrative. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. And I was at an event and someone who I really respect in just comedy and television came up to me and was like, you're really funny, but you do have to choose. Like, are you a comedian or are you a critic? Like, you have to pick a side and you can't do both. And right now you like try to straddle the fence and you can't. And I was just like, ooh. Okay.
Which is so awful because it's like it's within creating a lack of checks and balances, right? It's like,
yeah.
And it's so hard to explain to the individuals who are in power, who are literally holding your pilot or special like in their hands when they're telling you something that is ridiculous. Like you should be able to criticize. In fact, you're probably best positioned to. It's why the commentators on sports games used to play sports.
Like I really value from, comedians' opinions on comedy specials. That's what I like look for first. But, when you're in the industry, it's like you keep that, it's insider baseball kind of. It's like you only talk to other comedians. To me, I sort of saw a difference between like what I am willing to publish. And I feel like I was always a very fair critic. Like, even if I didn't like something, it was always objective. Yeah. And if something is done well, or I can understand if like I'm not the audience for something, but it's done well. And I reviewed every season of Insecure. And at the end of it, Issa Rae sent me an email where she was like, I just want to say thank you. You were so fair over the years in your reviews. Even when you didn't like stuff, like your insights were always great. And I just was like honored to be reviewed on the AV Club and you did so great. And I was just like, that's amazing.
That's
and
beautiful.
See, I am a fair critic.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The Four Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The Four Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
You guys, I just found the most incredible Mother's Day gift. It's called Goldbelly. Goldbelly is this amazing site where you can get the most iconic foods from restaurants all across the U.S., shipped anywhere in the country for free in time for Mother's Day. We're talking cakes from Ina Garten and Martha Stewart, Magnolia Bakery's famous banana pudding, and New York bagel brunches. Make Mother's Day perfect with Goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MOM. That's Goldbelly.com, promo code MOM.
Well, it's hard because it's like we're surrounded in an industry where it's like if you have the talent to actually like, it's kind of like, oh, I hated that. It makes me feel weird, but here's great. Like it is good. Yeah. All this. Like if you have that ability, there's so many people in the industry that's brain like is literally not wired to understand that ability because they're so self-centered. and so they don't believe you can have it. They're like, it's impossible for you to have this job. And it's like, well, actually some people can step outside their own experience.
And step out and just kind of be like, oh, I like this. This part could be better, and it's fine. So I made like a decision in 2019 it was like 2020 at that point, I think, to stop doing TV criticism completely. So I stopped doing it then and really just started only writing about documentaries and reality TV ever since. Which, honestly has been great. I have become a 90 Day Fiancé expert, and that's lucrative. That's great.
No, the way I joke like my Love Island and, encyclopedic knowledge is, and like Great British Bake Off, I know their personal lives. Like I don't need to go that hard. You know what I mean? Like, I feel you. Yeah. But I'm very interested when it comes to process, right? When it's like the sort of straddling line between self-expression and being guided to where it can be best expressed for yourself and also pushing against. But it feels so interesting that the time in which you are validated as both a critic and a comedian is when you're being criticized for both. So when he's saying you're a comedian, you can't do this, it's legitimizing you as a stand-up and a comedian and saying like, look at you are this. And at the same time, it's going like, look at you are this, a writer that has an impact in this way. And for you, did it feel like one resonated more than the other, or was it more just about deciding between the two?
It definitely was that stand-up resonated more. I mean, I fell in love with stand-up the very first time I ever did it at an open mic. I was like, this is just what I love to do, standing in front of people, being in the scene, just hanging with other comics, like making a joke get funny. Even open mics, I don't hate them all the time.
Well, it depends on who's running them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, who's running them. But, I love touring, starting again in the Midwest. Like, it's very easy to kind of go to other major little cities. Like, you can start in Chicago and go to Milwaukee and Minneapolis and just tour for a lot of different kinds of audiences. And I think that makes you really funny when you're just kind of forced to say, like, I mean, I did a show in Bloomington, Indiana, at like this like little stage in the back of a bar, and like half the people there were like these veterans who were in their 70s. They did not care about some like black girl getting on stage, but I made them laugh with a bunch of OJ Simpson jokes, and they were totally just on my side at the end. They're like, that was real funny, blah, blah. And when you can just like turn a crowd like that, it's amazing. And I do love when it's so cool. And I love, when I write a review of something and someone reaches out and is like, oh, I fell in love with this show because you inspired me to start watching it, or I didn't really know if I would like this band, but reading what you wrote made me want to go listen to them. And that's really cool too. But I think it's just because I am starved for attention that I need to be on stage. Sure.
Well, or also like I think a lot of people who are comedians who have a lean towards speaking to truthful things, not in a way of like truth teller, but in a way where it's like the subject matter is about personal life or revealing shared experiences that might help other people. That's like less so goof-aloof. I think the tendency has consistent abilities to help people and heal people and it might not necessarily be where it feels good for you. So I bet your reviews are like making crazy impacts for people, but you're like, great, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just a talent.
Yeah.
That's just a skill. Like,
Yeah, I like don't think about it. Like my newsletter, Deep Trouble, a lot of it is just kind of me being like, oh, this TV show made me think of this, or I noticed this trend in whatever. And people will like reach out to me months later and be like, oh yeah, this thing you wrote about like the John Benet Ramsey documentary was so inspiring. It made me want to do this. And I'm just like, oh, that's really cool. Like, wow.
well, I even see like a lot of your work with like the John Benet Ramsey thing, the Sean King, like all your writing on those sort of moments, and your sort of deep research is so intense and long and involved, and people are so invested and committed. And I think that is so exciting because you kind of can feel the energy of someone, especially when long form sort of info isn't necessarily as consumed. You can feel the energy of someone who's not trying to get you to consume it. Like when I'm reading your writing, you're like, no, I wanted to figure this out, so I kept going. And it's so much easier to engage with, because I don't feel like with a lot of these longer form articles, even the way they're edited, it's kind of like, and just wait, because keep listening. And, you know, I think that's
where they're like, and we're going to hook you. And, and did you expect this? And it's like, okay, come on. Like,
yes. And I think it's felt in your writing.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of that is the expectations of writers these days. And one reason that I kind of got tired of doing a lot of criticism and freelancing is that the industry wasn't such a friendly place to journalists and writers anymore. I felt it was becoming this thing that was so driven by like private equity, where they were focused on like page views, like how long are people reading your article, like clicks, you know, how long are they looking at an ad? And the writing that was being incentivized was stuff that drove clicks and page views. And I just really kind of became disgusted with like a lot of what I saw, and was like, do I really want to keep doing this, or do I just want to be a creator? Like, and yeah, I mean, I think it's really sad. A lot of it is, you know, the pivot to video and all of that stuff that just like destroyed a lot of our favorite media sites. But it just became a lot harder to engage with media the way that I wanted to. And I don't know, I feel like today when you look at TV shows, it's like all of these really crazy fandoms. Like, just it's so foreign to me, like what TV criticism has become, because it doesn't feel like
it's so personal. Yeah,
it's so personal now. And before it was like, oh, you can watch this episode of Mad Men and, you know, consider like, what does this mean? The symbolism of this, like watch something with the creators, and people would maybe like write a book on like, you know, how Mad Men gets this right. And today it's people like creating fanfic and creating like Twitter accounts where they call anyone stupid who like doesn't like the characters they like. And it's just
the visual
such a wild thing now.
Whenever I see like people talking about like, you can say this about this, but don't do that. And like, and I see the reaction to certain criticism, my favorite visual that comes to mind is Kelly Kapoor, Mindy Kaling's character in The Office, when they're trying to figure out if Hilary Swank is hot or not, which say what you will about that. But she turns, she goes, no, Hilary Swank is hot, because if she is not hot, I am not hot. And like, and she storms out, and it's like this heavenly reveal, right, of like these avatars we create. And like, what a childish reaction to any criticism of someone, of like, no. And I feel like everyone's vibrating with that, where I'm like, yo, chill out.
Where it's like, oh, you don't like Yellow Jackets as much as I love Yellow Jackets. That's a criticism of me personally. Or you think that show's stupid, you're calling me stupid. And it's like, no, that's not it.
Which I do think why criticism is so crucial is because it swings both ways. We should be criticized as individuals. We should be like taking in information and accounting for it that we didn't see about ourselves. But that is like, we've been set up, right, especially younger generations, to not even consider that. But that's how you grow. Like, you do need to be criticized. And I even think the separation of the critic and the artist is sort of a mechanism to make people not hold themselves accountable artistically or emotionally. Like, it's like, critics aren't these fools that don't know how to do. That's such a weird concept. They're actually the checks and balances of ethical and authentic expression, in my opinion.
Exactly. I think that was another thing that always bothered me, is that people were like, oh, you know, you should just stick with criticism. You're better with that. Like, you know, I think you're so great at breaking things down. Like, it's so much harder to be a creative. Like, oh, do you really want to do that? And I was just like, I mean, if you love doing one, like, yeah, you just...
it feels like such personal to that person advice where like, it's so hard, do it, please.
Yeah, where it's like, I need to believe that like it is too hard for me to do that, which I think is I think something that like a lot of I sort of see in other writers who look at people who are like writers and creatives where they're like, oh no, like I have to believe that that's too hard to do and that's why I'm in this position about it. So, you know, I don't know.
Because it's uncomfortable to say I can't or won't work hard on something to do it.
Yeah, or just even that, like, I'm afraid. Like, a lot of times the biggest thing is that I'm like, you're afraid to get on the stage and to stand up there by yourself and to tell jokes in a microphone. And that's what it comes down to. And you want to find an excuse for that fear. And, you know, I get that. I like used to play instruments, and anytime I got on a stage to play, I would like shake and I was terrified. And like, I would try to like find any excuse. I would just be like, people just like don't get my emotional, deep music. And actually, I write my songs for me, private, personally.
That's so beautiful.
Like I was in jazz band, and I would just be like, they just like don't get like on a public level like what I'm doing, so
sweet.
I will play with my amp off actually. And really it was just like I was terrified of making a mistake. But you look for like those excuses.
But when also like a young child doing that, it's so endearing. But when like an adult man who is paying your bills is like, you don't get me, it's like, well.
Yeah, it's like, okay, no, I think you're just like afraid to put your work out into the world and to be judged.
Yes.
And yeah.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the US. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Well, how did you work through that fear? Because you have it, right? So I'm like, how did you, because I see, right, you're matching all these expressions, and I'm wondering if you need the Substack in order to be able to do the stand-up or to give away the criticism. Like, where does that fear come for you? Because it might not be in the same place, it sounds like.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, the fear is speaking up or speaking out. And that's, you know, whether it's like getting on stage and being funny about something you don't think people should talk about, or, you know, having an opinion on an episode of TV that everyone else loves, but you're like, hey guys, that was stupid. And I've never been afraid of that. I think even on Twitter, a lot of times people are like, you're funny because you will just kind of talk about anything and share an opinion that I would be absolutely terrified to share. Mm-hmm. And usually I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm just saying something like, this movie is good. And everyone's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, I think in that way, like, I don't feel that sort of fear, but I do have that fear of it being good. I think I am one of those people where I will defeat myself because I'm like in search of perfection, where I am just like, if I can criticize it still, it's not ready, and I can criticize anything to death.
The caveats, the constant even in your own thought process. Yeah. Like, well, they'll probably think this.
Exactly. And they'll think this, and then I'm like, oh, but does it address this? But does this do this? But is this really funny?
And haven't considered that. That's a little derivative of this that everybody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. I'm like, and actually, like, am I just ripping this thing off from like some 1962 journal German TV show no one in the world has heard of.
And it's so beautiful because it's like everyone's wound, right? And it is yours isn't the one where you're like scared to say the thing because you're like, well, I'll just take accountability if it's wrong. You're like secure enough, but yours is the perfectionism that keeps someone who has the skills and the ability from even saying them at all. And it's like, dang.
It's like my album, I think, took a long time for me to put it out because I was like, I want this to be perfect. Like I was doing stand-up for 7.5 years, I think, before I recorded it. And, when I was 3 years in, people were like, you should do a YouTube special. You should do this. But I just kept being like, no, I want to feel perfect. I want to feel so good. And like, I am knocking this out and like, I can sell out a place and do an album.
When did you get that feeling? Was it like when a joke always killed? Was it like when you felt like it was fully written?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you just feel it, right? Like there's this time when you just start getting on stage and it just feels like so good and natural and like what you're supposed to be doing. And when I came to LA, I think that's when that really started to sink in for me. I was doing a lot of shows for LA. I don't know, Chicago and New York, you can do like 8 shows a night and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But here I would have like 4 shows a week and be like, I'm killing it.
Oh, that's crazy. Here that's nuts.
Yeah. Here that's like, that was like, whoa, look at it, incredible. But there was just, I don't know. I guess being in LA, it is the big leagues, right? Like I would do these shows with people that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is someone that I think like Asif Ali, like people that I'm like, I see you on TV and I've thought you were so funny for years and I'm doing shows with you and like you're considering me someone who's on the same level as you as a comedian.
I'm on the same bill. Like,
I'm on the same bill and like, whoa. And that's when I was like, I guess this is really real. I'm ready for this. And I started a show at the Comedy Store and Bill Burr dropped in a few times and he said he liked a few of my jokes and I was like, well, okay, I guess they're good. We're ready. What more can I expect?
But I think that's heavenly. And I also think the comedy community takes for granted the weight that holds, especially because a lot of our I don't know, I guess we're peers with a lot of people, but like because I've had that when it's like someone I respected, like even just I hear their laugh in the audience, like if they're like waiting to go up and you hear it, you're like, fuck, oh my god, like shit, I'm the funniest person alive.
I'm amazing. Yes, I'm the funniest person. I like, gosh, my name will be up there with Richard Pryor's.
No problem. I am a god. Easy. Start making my leather jumpsuit for my Eddie Murphy special. Like,
get me 100%. The Mark Twain Award now. Like, it's a wrap. You're welcome.
Give me Mitch
everyone
Hedberg
in the
shades. I'm good to go.
And then the next day I go to my day job and I'm like, oh my god, like this person was on my show and they thought I was funny and everyone is like, who is that? Who are you talking? Like, who? Like, and you're like, right. This doesn't matter. Got it.
I did that. My dad and I, because I used to do this. I think you might have done it. Did you do the special without Brett Davis's show back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I remember Janine Garofalo was doing it once, and I was like, holy shit! Like, holy shit! She's the best comic actress I ever seen in my whole life. Freaking out, and everyone at my job was like, from what? Who?
From what? Who? Who is that?
And it was like, and then you're like, you don't want to get small. You almost just get angry. Then you're like, well, you have no taste.
Yeah.
You have no taste.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a you thing. I did a show with Janine in New York and literally was like hyping it up to my coworkers. I'm like, you guys, oh my god, and they did not. They were like, no idea.
They're idiots.
I ended up working with Maria Bamford on her memoir, and it was so cool. I got to help co-edit it. And I was telling, like, whenever anyone's like, oh, what's the coolest thing that's happened to you in comedy? I say that, and the response is always, who is Maria Bamford?
I love it, and I love doubling down. We actually have like a Maria through thread on the pod. My dear friend Bree was director of her special as well, so I love that. Like, there's so many connections. I just think she embodies that though, because she gave us the permission to not care about, like, I don't know, just to not care about what you were supposed to care about. Yeah. And you embody it. I think it's so awesome.
A lot of working on her memoir is reading where she was like, I had made it in all of these ways where you want to, where she had this like Target deal and she's the spokesperson. She like is being asked to audition to play the mom in all these sitcoms, like, you know, traditional success. She's booking these like venues.
Success.
Yeah. And her being like, oh, wait, I absolutely hate this. It's destroying me. I don't want to do it. And I want to be famous my way, where I'm like happy with my pugs and my husband. And I like do this weird specials I want to do. And there aren't these expectations. And just realizing you can do that, like you can be sort of famous how you want to be famous. You don't have to follow these set guidelines.
Yes.
It's been I think the most helpful thing I've sort of seen in my career.
I love that. How did you come to work on that with her? Like, was that just you had aligned comedy and then you like sought her out, or what?
So she used to, like, on Twitter, she used to post these things where she would be like, does anyone have 10 minutes to meet me for coffee in Altadena to listen to some new jokes? Because she like obviously doesn't really want to go to like open mics.
Obsessed. Because she's a genius and she's creating new forms constantly. Yeah. Okay. I love that.
Constantly. And it's like she knows what works. So she would literally be like, if one person can just meet me for coffee so I can like run some stuff by you. And I was at the time like unemployed, like just bored and doing nothing on a Wednesday, and was like, I mean, I live super close to Altadena, and I hit her up and was like, yeah. And I went, got coffee with her. She like read the joke to me and did a bunch of stuff. And I like took notes and gave her these really detailed notes. And she was like, whoa, this is great. Like she was like, I think wasn't really expecting maybe someone.
Someone off Twitter who showed up at a coffee shop. Yeah, that makes sense. She didn't expect it to be an incredible writer.
Yeah, to like give her detailed notes and to be like, oh yeah, like, you know, I was like, oh yeah, also I'm a comedian. And when I worked at The Onion, we did meet, but I was like, you probably don't remember me. And of course she did, because she's the world's sweetest person. And she was like, no, I remember you. Yeah, you were like, had just kind of started comedy. And I was like, yeah. And then she hit me up a few more times to like get coffee and listen to some things. And then she was like, hey, do you want to give me your thoughts on my memoir as I'm working on it? And it was just like one of those things where I was like, I think I want to quit. I hate this. It's all so hard. What am I even doing? I can't like get the gigs I want. I should just quit. And then that happened. And I was like, actually, the world is beautiful. This is what
it's all for. Like, yeah.
This is what it's all for. And I said that to her. I was like, this just feels like fate. Like, wow. And she did the most Maria Bamford thing ever, where she just goes, I don't believe in fate or anything like that, but that's really cool for you. And I was just like, this is amazing.
I love that for you.
Yeah. I love that for you. Cool fate stuff for you.
I used to have a joke where it's like, my favorite way to say fuck you is to say I love that for you. Okay.
Like, okay, yeah, good.
Which is also so heavenly too, because I find sometimes when that sentimentality is received too much, it's like it's not what I meant it for. It's just like she's exactly who she is, and that's why you love this experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know that. I think that it was good to have her as an early influence in comedy, because I mean after that it's easy to deal with a place like LA, because you're just like, don't worry about fitting these norms or, you know, doing this show or having this. Just like do what is creative and fun and makes you happy.
Which is so beautiful, because it can be said as a platitude, and to understand it experientially and how it's actually applied, which means say no to the thing that everyone says you should say yes to if it's killing you.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Which, yeah, is still such a hard lesson to learn. I have said yes to so many projects, and then like 2 months in, I'm like, oh, this is killing me. Why did I say yes to this?
Yes.
This is not aligned with like anything I want to be doing. Okay.
That's what I mean, experiential. Like, it's because it gets more refined. I always think like life and healing is a 3D spiral where they say you're like hitting the same points continually but deeper. And like, I think you refine it, and then it comes up again of like, oh, I could learn a lot from this gig. Oh, I like that person, and maybe I could and then there's all these maybes, and it's less nefarious than like, I'll take the job I hate. But it's the same impact of just like, well, maybe, I guess, I should. And it's the shoulds that always, when you're true of heart, don't should anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel passionately.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I like, now I'm at a place where if I don't feel that like passion for something, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not, I'm going to try to just say yes to things. And yeah.
And find the financial balance, because that's always the other pull, right? Is that like, oh, is this financially smart to do? Should I whatever? But it's like, you know what? If we look at it more as like, we'll figure it out. Like you figured it out before when you had day jobs and multiple jobs. Like why wouldn't it do now?
Yeah. That's what I've done throughout my career, which I think is maybe why I have more of that freedom, is that I, you know, got like I started day jobs in advertising because I couldn't get day jobs in like comedy or entertainment.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing that because it was the steadiest day job to have. And it's weird sometimes to like go do comedy shows and then, you know, clock into a 9 to 5 at a desk. And to have people be like, oh, I think I like saw you on the HBO Max page for like this queer comedy thing. And I'm like, yeah. Anyway, we have that 9:30 meeting with our vendor.
Anyways, I slacked you and I saw you saw it. So I'm bumping that.
Yeah. So just want to bump that. And, you know, like taking time off so I can like go on tour and hoping that they like just don't notice.
Oh my God. The joy I love. I've worked the same day job over the course of like 10 years and they are so supportive. And I always joke with them. I'm like, this is way worse. I wish you hated it. I wish you didn't get it. Like they understand it. They get it. They love me. Then I'm like, and they're like literally on the call, they're like, oh, you know, and Morgan has a show this week. It's like,
when it's those, I'm always like, I know you guys want to be supportive, but
here's my thing. Also, the supportive of people, they get it. Like they have the same comedy taste even. And like that's what I mean, where it's so funny because the little kid in us, or me, that like wants to subvert or feel like I can quietly do this thing without getting too much attention because maybe it means I actually want the thing. It's so confronted consistently. And I just think it's so funny because I'm like, why am I reacting this way to like pretty nice support and understanding?
Yeah.
I don't know. But have had people like, because it's like you're working at places that I think AV Club like loves alt comedy and those things.
Yeah. Like when I was at the Onion, the AV Club, it was chill. I mean, I would like go to open mics with coworkers. I think their people were really understanding of it. Although there was sort of, because I worked there in the advertising area, there were some questions of like, oh, is it okay if she writes ads and also is like writing reviews? And then it was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And now I think it's so funny because people will just straight up get like PR packets from a network and write about it. And everyone's like, yeah, that's how it works now.
As long as they have a tiny little thing at the top where it's like paid advertise. It's like,
yeah. Or like hashtag paid. And it's like, okay, so that okay. But after that, I went to work at Google and there was actually like a secret circle of comedians at Google. There were a few of us who like all did comedy and like when you work there, they pay for you to fly to so many different offices. They would fly me between Chicago, Detroit, and New York. I would just do as many shows as I could. And like the other, like, yeah, the other Google comedians, we would all hit each other up and be like, oh yeah, are you all going to be like at this fest? Like we can maybe hit up these places for shows. But then it was also always this weird thing of like, oh, what if my teammates like kind of find out or think I'm talking about them? And a few times I had some who would be like, oh, I heard like this joke that you did on Sirius XM and it just like didn't seem appropriate. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Can I keep my job?
You know, yeah. But even at the Onion one time I did a show and like the head of our HR came and I did a whole show. Like it was a joke about me like douching my butthole and stuff. And
Of course. Yeah. Naturally.
Yeah. And I like, she just looked at me like, oh my God, why?
Heaven.
Oh God. And I was just like, you know, hey, that's life.
The demon in me would, of course, then immediately engage with her on the stage and be like, and my HR representative is here tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was definitely like, and I want to thank my employees for being here, just the people I work with.
Heaven.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Transparency. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and yeah, I think mostly people don't care. So...
Well, to this like sort of process of like you feel like you maybe solidified the beginning of your career with this album and like with this time, are you now in a new phase of like figuring out how you want to express this, or is it evolving, or are you just sort of same thing but even sharper?
It's evolving and same thing but sharper. I'm definitely in this new phase of writing new jokes, figuring out sort of what I want this next era to look like and to be. I'm working on my next 30, and it's like, what do I want it to be about? How do I want it to feel? I don't know. I guess like the kids are like, what's the branding is how they would say it. But
yeah,
I don't know, I'm just kind of like, yeah. The POV, and I'm mostly just kind of like, there's so much in the world right now, but it's like I am angry all the time when I open the news, and so it's just like, what do I want to contribute? How do I want to sort of just do my part politically at this time through my comedy? I think it's so cliche to be like, now more than ever, but it's like, this
Nixon
is the
was
one thing
right.
I
Now
am.
more than ever.
Now more than ever. It's like, I'm a clown. I'm a comedian. What I can do is make people think a little bit with jokes. So how can I do that right now?
I agree. And I do think there's a paralysis when you can speak to so many things. And one of your skills is breaking things down, right? And so it's like, when you're a comedian who can do that well, it's like, it is an infinity of places you can successfully go. It's not just like, I'm finding the thing that is inspiring me. It's like, no, I just don't know how to randomly pick out of anything I could choose. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it's like, and it feels like your first album had a lot of like you and your like life, and like in it, like the identity sort of drives it. My favorite is like, what is it? It takes 27 minutes for the like
for Ashley to mention that she's polyamorous.
That makes me laugh so hard. And like, but it is this idea of like that being a driver. And then when you're in this sophomore sort of era of album, I do think it's really a weird space to be in, to be like, okay, now I just pick. Like,
yeah, like now I just kind of do what I want. And I definitely feel the like sophomore slump thing where I'm like, oh, okay, I've proven myself, but, you know, did people appreciate it enough? Like, listen to this debut thing I did. It's so great. And also just feeling the pressure of, okay, am I still funny? Like, what do I do now? Like, what is funny
do
now?
I care? Yeah.
Yeah, like retiring some jokes. Like, are there jokes that I'm like, actually, this could still be funnier? And yeah, I guess this is the fun part of it. You know, where you hit the open mics again.
You say tears coming down your cheek. I guess this is the fun part.
Yeah. You know, yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of forcing my friends to take me to open mics.
Are you someone who like writes it down and then riffs on it at the open mic, or someone who's like riffing all day?
Kind of both. If something comes to me, I have the notes app just full of joke ideas that have come up. And then at open mics, I'll kind of be like, oh, I want to work on this.
Yeah.
Or at a show, I'll be like, oh, this was a funny idea I had. Let me get it in front of people and see if it's even funny at all.
I have like my notes app still like from like 2015 on the phone still, and like I'll sometimes go back to like that notes app sort of joke thing that you just throw in there. And I will say I was funnier before, like mine would be because you know those open mic jokes where you're sitting there, you're a little inspired, you see an idea, and then you do the stupidest thing possible. I used to do like non sequiturs in between jokes as my segues, and I would just scream things. And one of the things I used to scream was, "No, your startup disc is full." And it rarely hit hard. And it made me laugh so hard every single time, because I would always get that little notification that says your startup disc is almost full.
Yeah.
And I look back to those times of like open mic energy where I do wonder if it could ever translate to a special. Where
I'm just like, that's the weird shit that you're like, this could be funny. I'll try this. And
are you editing like old jokes when you're saying like, can this be better or funny, or is it all still pretty relatively fresh?
It's mostly fresh, but there's some jokes that were kind of newer when I put them in the album. And sometimes I'm like, oh, actually, like this has expanded in this way. I have a lot of jokes about this flat earther I dated. And
oh my God, incredible.
Yeah, it was a situation that got so much more ridiculous, and a lot of that material, I was like, oh, I wish I had this when I was doing the special.
This is He Who Shall Not Be Named, but it's very the life of Pablo when he was live editing it on Tidal. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And like, I don't want him to be the basis of it, but I do think Kanye West for the listeners. But I do think that conversation should be had of like, being able to edit your art and like being able to go back and like shit.
I mean, yeah. Mythic Quest, the TV show on Apple TV. it just got canceled, and they like asked Apple, they were like, hey, we didn't know we were going to get canceled. Are we allowed to redo like the last 2 episodes so we can change the ending to make sense for a finale?
This is a way better
and Apple
example.
was like, yeah, Apple was like, sure, go ahead. And so now like I got a notification that was like, okay, there's a new version of this up you can watch that like is a better goodbye.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
So
yes.
yeah, I'm like, let people do that.
Why not? They're the artists. Like, they're living with it. Like, you don't, like, download the other one and have it for yourself.
Yeah. Taylor Swift puts out a million versions of things.
Okay, there are actually so many good versions of this that aren't that one. Okay. I'm actually so happy. Okay, so we're into my final segment. We're driving down the driveway. I guess that's an end. But... and the final segment is called Thank You for Holding My Poems. And it is based on a Russian poet who, under the Great Terror in Russia, it was illegal to publish poems of resistance. So what their writers group did, and her many female friends, they would memorize edits of each other's poems and art. And over the course of 30 years until it was legal to publish. And I was always so moved by the idea of like being witnessed in an edit in an unseen moment where you can't really control it, you don't expect it, and holding those moments for each other. For you, and I say that, I'm wondering what comes up, because for me, a poem can be a joke, or it can be literally like running into a barista who like says they like your dress on a day that you felt like shit, and all of a sudden things shifted for you. Like those moments to me are beautiful poems we hold for each other. And I would love for you to share any poems, or, you know, have us hold one for you, or whatever it is.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I see it the same way, where I'm like, these little moments of beauty are kind of the poems that I love most in life. I'm trying to think if anything like good has happened to me recently.
I love, but the hard part is like to your point of like trying to explain the Maria thing. Like when people are like, "How's your day?" I'm kind of like, "Okay, so this bumblebee got like bumped into another one when I was watching the flower," and it's like, well, now I sound.
Yeah, and everyone's like, and I was like, but anyway, it was so cool.
Anyways, it changed my whole day. Yeah.
You know, recently, I guess this can count. I like was getting late night Burger King, and I was like at the window paying, and I heard the person behind me, and they were like asking how much their total was gonna be, like if they got a burger with like bacon, and the guy was like, "Oh, it'll be like $2.41 with that." And they were like, "Oh, that's too much, like no bacon." And I was like, "Can I pay for their meal?"
And bacon.
Because there was just something to me that was like, bro, like you don't have enough to add bacon, man. Like,
yeah,
let me help somebody out. And I was just like, just imagining, like you just want to get your extra bacon on your fucking Whopper.
And you have to
and
ask.
You've had a long, like it's a long day. This is all you want. And I was like, if I could do that for someone.
Oh, that's so, I always cry at those moments. That's so special because you just don't know what they're going through. Like, you don't know what that means to them, and it could mean the world.
Yeah. And I always just think, I don't know, when I was in high school, I would like go to this little restaurant where I could buy cheese fries, and I would literally count up change because I did not have enough money.
And,
yeah. And I would go in there with like exact change and be like, I someday will tip you so much, I promise.
Oh my God. The amount of like times in high school I'd promise, we're going to tip you so much, because it's like you would be paying and like...
Just like, just like exact amount, like, and they knew every time, like, these kids are just gonna order coffee and get refills, we'll get one order cheese
and, like,
fries that they split,
tear up sugar packets and jelly, make a little mess. Oh, that is such a sweet poem. You know what else that delights me too is, no matter what, like even if that person is like, screw you, I don't need it, like ego, like it's a human interaction, like it has an impact, and like I think that's the most beautiful part. You're listening, you're hearing the things around you. Yeah,
around you, and you're being like, someone needs help, I can help. Oh, I guess another thing that made me happy recently, I had an orange in my hand. It wasn't open, and my partner walked in, and as soon as he saw me holding the orange, he went, "Do you want me to peel that?" And it was just really sweet to me, where I was like, the second he was just like, "Oh yeah, you need some, let me do this." And I thought about that, like, I thought about that meme that was going around for a while where like women would like give their boyfriend an orange and see if he would peel it for them, or if he'd be like, "What's your problem? You're an adult."
I forgot about that one.
And I just love that he immediately walked in and was like, you're a precious child who needs me to do this immediately.
But it's also, to me, like what makes me sob are like, quote unquote, the love you need, like where it's like someone could get me like diamonds, sure, get them. But, and it's like nice, but then it's like if someone like my best friend like years ago helped me organize my closet, and I don't think I've cried more. I still cry about it. I'm like, I needed that so bad. I needed that love really bad.
Oh my God, yes. My best friend did that. I am a notorious like clothes hoarder, and I had a friend who was just like, we are taking care of this, and I was like, you are saving me.
Oh yeah, because I also just needed someone there. Like I'm okay. Like it was.
I just need someone there. So even if someone would be like, yeah, you don't need that, or like, yeah, right. That's ugly. I was like, right. Otherwise, if I'm alone, I'll just stare at it and be like, but what if like I do wear that one outfit one time again that I wore 5 years ago and haven't worn again? Like, what if I need this?
What if my aunt is like, do you still have that thing from Christmas 2013? Like, all of a sudden.
I'm like, what if I gain weight again? And then I'm like, I do need these clothes that don't fit. And they're just like, no, you just get rid of it.
What if there's a tundra all of a sudden in LA and I need all my winter clothes from Wisconsin? Duh. Like, duh. Wow, we can maybe provide this for each other.
Honestly, a few times I've been like, maybe my best friend moved to Louisiana and I was like, maybe we could just like get on a Zoom and you can yell at me while you stare at my closet.
Yes, hugely. But to me, the orange is exactly that, where it's like, I needed you to do that without asking. Like, oh, it's so nice.
And I was like, I do want you to peel it. Like, yes, thank you.
I immediately go into child, but I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, yes, yay, anything that, yay, make life easy. I love it. Yay.
That is so sweet. Oh, Ashley, this has been so wonderful.
This was great.
I love this. So do you have any places besides, we want people to listen to your album, but is there any specific things you want to publicize? Is that it? Yeah.
You can follow me at the Ashley Ray everywhere. Check out my Substack. It's called Deep Trouble. And yeah, listen to Ice Cream Money wherever you listen to music or albums. And you can also get it on vinyl. So there you go.
Did you get to design it? Yeah. Were you like...
I did. It's pink. It's so cool. I love it. I have it like framed in my house. It's my favorite thing.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that. Okay, well, I end every episode by giving my listeners and you a compliment, and I say the same one, and I mean it every time, and I say, oh my God, you're so pretty.
Thank you.
Worse Than You with Mo Fry-Pasek is hosted by me, Mo Fry-Pasek. You can learn more about this week's guest and the Worse Than You team by checking out the show and episode copy. Worse Than You with Mo Fry-Pasek is executive produced by Erica Ghetto, Mariah Gossett, and Lauren Mandel for Good Get and Disconat Productions. Oh my God, you're so pretty.
I don't believe in fate or anything like that, but that's really cool for you. I was just like...